My name is Liz Hickok, and I am the Business, Finance, and Patent Librarian here at Sunnyvale Public Library. Once rare, electric vehicles are a common sight on local roads now. You can see them everywhere you go, and manufacturers are now also producing electric cars at more affordable prices.
I presently have about 8 electric vehicles for a hobby. Virtually the very first question that's ever asked whenever I'm with my electric car, and the question is, well, how far can you go? And so that can be interpreted many, many different ways, and I'd like to just plant a concept in your minds. The Mitsubishi i-MiEV, and I'll use that as an example. The Mitsubishi i-MiEV has an EPA range of 62 miles.
The Zen was, we bought a 2007 Zen in 2009, and it's a little car, and it's very inexpensive. When it first came out, it retailed for, I think, $18,000, but they knew you're going to get a big rebate with the government. So I think it ended up being about $12,000 or something like that. They said it was, I think, 30 to 50 mile range. But in real life, we're talking 20. And the recharge is about 4 hours. What it is good for, my wife works here at the library, and we live 5 miles away.
There's a governor that makes it go 25 miles an hour, but you can carry that. I said, I'm not driving around this area 25 miles an hour, even on just regular streets. They don't make sense anymore, so you can't buy a new one. They were made in Canada.
My name is Jeff Ainscough. I live here in Sunnyvale, and I own a Nissan Leaf, and I've had it 2.5 years. And what difference has it made to my life? It's totally eradicated the guilt. I love driving and not putting out one molecule of CO2. It's totally environmentally friendly. I love not paying for gas. Before we bought the Leaf, my wife and I had a gas car each. And the Mazda was hers and the inside was mine. You know, we'd always had a car each. We bought the Leaf. And within about 2 weeks, we both wanted it. The first one that gets it in the morning gets it. And it's fast because it accelerates very quickly. Like from 0 to 30 miles an hour, you can beat anything. So if you want to get out of a situation quickly, just push your foot down. And then for the rest pieces, it'll do about 95 miles an hour. Some of the other things that people don't realize is there's no maintenance. You never change the oil because there's no oil. You know, there's no exhaust system, there's no gearbox, there's no clutch, there's no engine, there's no radiators, there's no maintenance. I took it in for his 20,000 mile check, and I said to the person at Nissan Leaf here, what are you going to do? And he says, oh, don't worry, it's free. We pay for these regular checks. I said, no, I'm just interested in what you're going to do. He said, well, we rotate the tires and give it a wash. The biggest hindrance is range. Now I know where the charging stations are that are next to a coffee shop.
I'm Maddie Hausman, and I have drunk the Leaf Kool-Aid so deep. I can't figure out if I was an early adopter or a fast follower. I was kind of right on the line because I got one of the first Nissan Leafs that you didn't have to pre-order.
Hi, I'm John Braun. I'm not much of a Kool-Aid drinker, so this might be a slightly different talk. You know, when I was learning to drive, my mom's car was a Buick Electra with a 455 cubic inch V8. That's 7,500 cc's for those of you younger than me. And 370 horsepower, and you could fit 10 high school kids on the 2 big bench seats, and half of them were skinny girls, and they all liked each other. And just 2 weeks before I got my license, Nixon changed the national speed limit to 55. It was a personal affront that I still haven't survived to this day. Since then, you know, I went to college, and suddenly I had to pay for my own gas. But then we started really being concerned about the future, and you know, what's going to happen when there isn't oil in the ground anymore? What's it going to be like when our kids are teaching their kids to drive? And we started worrying about our finances and looking at how much money we were spending on gasoline on a monthly and annual basis. So in 2006, we bought a Civic Hybrid, and that car is just an absolute dog compared to the Passat. And so while we had good feelings that we were doing better for the environment, and it felt nice to have the engine turn off at stoplight, so we took our test drive, and the next day we signed up on the list. And 9 months later, we got our car. Our experience has been universally good with it. We've used it, no maintenance, no problems. I'm not sure that it's changed our life as much as it's enabled us to do things that we enjoy doing more than what we've done before. And for those of you that care about the actual dollars and cents, we believe that it's costing us about between 3 1/4 and 3 1/2 cents a mile to charge the batteries on the Leaf on an ongoing basis. And so that's well within our budget and our comfort zone.
Hi, I'm Steve Lemke, and in May of 11, I finally got my car. Now I love getting red lights, and I especially love being first at the red light. It is just a blast to punch it and be halfway down the block when everybody else is, still stuck back at the light. I want to explain also in terms of cost. People ask me how much it costs to drive. I also have solar panels at home, and I have time of use billing, which makes the power more expensive during the summertime, but I'm not a consumer during the summertime. I'm a producer, a net producer. And so PG&E pays me 27 cents a kilowatt for everything that I send back to the grid to my neighbors during the summer. And I buy that power back at night at 9 cents. So for every kilowatt that I bought, and I'm on a power purchase agreement, so I know I paid 14 cents for that kilowatt. PG&E pays me 27. I buy it back at night at 9, so I get 3 for 1 against my 14 cents. And if you follow the numbers, that means I'm paying 5 cents a kilowatt hour to charge my car. And since I get about 4 or 5 miles per kilowatt hour, I'm driving for a penny a mile.
Toyota RAV4 EV, the Mitsubishi, Think City, and Tesla.
I'm Greg Beamer, and I'm the proud owner of Mitsubishi. I put an order in on my birthday. I felt justified to buy myself a retirement gift at that time, and that was the 22nd of April, 2011. And on December 23rd, I picked the vehicle up at the dealership. And now I'm happily driving for very little money from day to day. I believe that this car at the time was the least expensive production electric on the market. And with the rebates, it came to the cost of a Honda Civic.
Good morning, my name is Keith Casta. I acquired the Tesla as a company car, just thinking we live in an electric car haven. I'm a law-abiding person, but I couldn't believe it. It was the most amazing experience, and I was within about a very short amount of time. It was pretty darn close to 100. The Tesla has this, probably heard about the 17-inch touchscreen thing, which has everything under the sun. So the one thing I would emphasize about the Tesla, it's not just an electric car. It's way more than an electric car. It does everything. But I will just say unreservedly, it's the most amazing car I've ever had the privilege of driving.
Hi, I'm Jerry Pohorsky. I now drive one of these. It's 12 years old already. Dennis will talk about the new version, and it's kind of ironic because when his came out, Toyota said, "This is our first electric car." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, what about mine?" I was working at Sun Microsystems over in Newark, and I noticed that when I got there, which is around 9:30 or so, all the good parking spots were gone. And I had to park way out in the sticks, and it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to walk to the front door. But right next to the front door, there was a spot that says EV parking only, and it was empty. So I said, let me check this out. So I called a couple dealers, found out that they had this thing called an EV1. And I really like the RAV4 because it's got a lot of cargo space in the back. Carpool lane, you get the $7,500 federal tax credit, you get a $2,500 state rebate. There's a lot of little perks for EV owners, preferential parking, so on and so forth. People are comparing gas and electricity. The year mine was made was 2002. You could buy a gas one, got 25 miles a gallon. If you went 100 miles, 4 gallons. Multiply 4 gallons by whatever you pay.
My name is Doug. I have the Think City. That's this little red car out there. It's unusual. It's a 2-passenger car. It has a nice area in the back for hauling big things. I haul 4-foot 8-foot 2x4s on house projects and things like that. I used to have 2 houses, and I used to go back and forth between the houses bringing tools, saws, power saws, all kinds of stuff. Real nice little work vehicle. It's very comfortable, has a nice acceleration, not as fast as most electric vehicles, but it's respectable. Does 75 miles an hour on the freeway. I've gone 80 miles twice without having to recharge, and that's adequate for everything I do. It's a fairly slow charging vehicle. The Nissan Leaf has about a 6 kilowatt hour charging system, mine is 3. So it takes a lot longer to bring it up to a full charge again. So using it for these trips like people talked about earlier doesn't work as well because it doesn't charge fast enough. On the other hand, my wife and I took a trip with it 2 months ago and we put 149 miles on it in one day. So it works. Just have to be a little more patient. It's light in comparison to most electric vehicles because the only part in it that's steel is the pan of the car and the suspension pieces in the back. Everything else is aluminum, the superstructure, and then they put body panels on it. So the car only weighs 2,300 pounds, so the small motor, 45 horsepower, is fully adequate for what it is. I have almost 17,000 miles on it. Very, very happy with it. And like everybody else, it's very, very expensive in comparison to gas cars.
My name is Brent. The first adopters for photovoltaics in Mountain View, I think my house was something like the 4th one that was wired up in Mountain View, and I was bragging to friends about all the excess electricity I was generating. Well, a friend of mine says, I got a fix for that. And introduced me to electric vehicles, and my cost per mile is about 2.7 cents per mile.
My name is Ron Thorne, and I kind of happened into EVs way back in 1998, and I finally sold an old XKE Jaguar. And so 3 EVs, with 1 remaining gas car. EV plus PV is my magic formula, and that's a pathway to success. It's clean, it's good, it's lots of fun, it's performance.
I'm Steve Kastner. I have a Tesla Roadster. The first car was the GM EV1 with lead-acid batteries, and it would only go about 60 miles in the summer and 40 in the winter when it was colder. So I had real concerns, like I'm sure those of you who don't have any EV experience do, that this car wouldn't have enough range, that this would be a problem for me. But it really only took me about 2 weeks to get comfortable with the understanding how much energy I had, how far I could go. The thing I'd like to emphasize for those of you who are thinking about electric vehicles, probably the questions you're asking are primarily, will it have enough range for me, or is the extra cost of an electric vehicle really practical? Those are good fundamental questions. But the thing to consider is how it is to drive, and a number of people have already said how much fun it is to punch these electric cars.
And I wasn't sure about this, but I figured I still have my gas car I could drive. He could have the EV, and we're keeping the bug just in case. And so whenever he wasn't using the car, I used the EV1. And I really discovered I liked it. And then Steve went away for a business trip for a week. And you have to understand the EV1 started with this. You had code to start the car. You didn't have a key to start the car. You had a keypad on the outside also. So as I was driving to the airport to pick Steve up at the end of that week, I was seriously thinking about changing the code.
So my name is Kim. I'm a little nervous about range. And when you first get an electric car, you go through something called range anxiety. Now, after a few short weeks or days, it turns into range awareness. You become very aware, oh, I can do that, I can't do that. Ask me the mileage of almost anything in the Bay Area. I know it by heart. I'm starting to forget now because I don't worry anymore. For 10 and a half years, I drove the Toyota RAV4 EV, the only car in my household, the only car that I drove. About 100-mile range, although occasionally I could squeak out a little bit more. But it was built before the new charging infrastructure. So if you get a new car today, you don't have those worries. And then really in the last 2 years, it's just been
just a very wide variety of EVs. But I did decide it was time to replace my RAV4. And the only thing that would force me to get rid of that beloved car, ugly as hell. Aerodynamics is great, but I love that car. It was the best car at the moment I had until I got the 2013 Car of the Year. So I went into the Tesla store at Santana Row. I had been avoiding that because I figured if I sit in that car, it's over. And I sat in the car, took a look at that 17-inch screen and go, oh, I love it. And so I walked out of the store, you know, thinking, no, I got to think about it some more. So I got home that night, a couple hours later, put my deposit down. 9 months later, it was pouring. I picked up my car at the Tesla factory in Fremont, December a year ago. So it's been about 13 months of pure joy. The most money I've ever spent on a car, I will not lie to you, but simply the most joy. You might say that I've overcompensated. I have a car that is capable, according to EPA, of 265 miles of range. And based on my previous car, that's unlimited miles. And then there's a network of the J1772 plugs that I can plug into. And then Tesla does have a very wide and expanding network of supercharging stations that I can pull into and charge for free in about an hour of full charge. But when I sat in the Model S, I realized that I was also ready to transition to either full retirement or my third career. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to stand around all day and talk about EVs? Because I used to do that in the Electric Auto Association, but we do it on the weekends at birthday events. And so you see a lot of us, we've known each other for years, because we've all been standing out in the sun, getting a sunburn, just loving to talk about electric cars. So anytime you see someone with an electric car, go up and ask them, what do you like about your car? We might have our favorite car of electric cars. Everyone has a car that speaks to them, but it's pretty universal. The cars are just flat out fun to drive. I think Steve or someone said, you know, red lights are fun, front of the line only. But, you know, the 0 to 60 speeds on some of these cars are just fabulous. 0 to 30 is just awesome. And on my car, if I'm on the freeway going at 60 miles an hour, I can punch and get back up to 80 in nothing flat. I would only admit to going 103 miles an hour when I was showing off to someone on the freeway, not the city streets. And I actually felt like I was only going about 80 miles an hour. And I looked down at the speedometer and go, I've never seen 3 digits on the speedometer, ever. And I don't even have the performance car.